Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining us this evening. We are so happy to have you with us. My name is Diane Lee. I am the Development Director here at Emerge, and a grassroots community is the backbone of every movement, and here at Emerge, we are no different. So you are the reason why we are able to do important work of recruiting, training, and providing a powerful network to Democratic women across the country. We are so happy to have this opportunity to share some important updates, goals, and strategies that Emerge is focused on this year. And tonight we will hear from some of our incredible alums and executive directors who are on the ground in their states doing the work to change the face of democracy. Are you ready? First up, our president and fearless leader, A'shanti Gholar, is going to give us an overview of the state of Emerge in 2022. Take it away, A'shanti.
Great. Thank you, Diane, and thank you to the Emerge team for all of your hard work around the event. Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is A'shanti Gholar, and I have the honor and privilege of being the president of Emerge. I'm excited to be here with you all today to talk about the state of Emerge in 2022, as we reflect on our successes and talk about our vision for the future. I want to thank all of our wonderful supporters, alums, board members, and staff who are here with us today. The work that we do here at Emerge is only possible because of all of you. Before I continue, a little bit about Emerge for those of you who may not be that familiar with our organization. Emerge is the nation's premier organization that recruits and trains Democratic women to run for office. Since 2002, we have trained more than 5,000 Democratic women who have run for office in 44 states, Washington, D.C., and the U.S. territories. Today, our organization has more than 1,000 alums in elected office across the country at every level, from school board to Congress, from state legislator to statewide office. Every year is an election year and a moment to celebrate at Emerge. In 2020, 413 alums were elected to office. In 2021, we had more than 180 alums win races. These wins include notable firsts: women moving up the pipeline to higher office and women flipping seats from red to blue. Our alums win their races at a high rate because they're the right candidate for the right district with the right message. In fact, even with the losses at the top of the ticket in Virginia last year, 9 out of 11 Emerge House of Delegate incumbents won their races, including in swing counties. Overall, in 2021, Emerge saw a 64% win rate in our races, with alums trailblazing and breaking barriers across the country. And our alums running for re-election won a whopping 91% last year. Let me say that again in case you missed it. Our Emerge electeds running in 2021 had a 91% re-election rate. We are only 3 months into 2022, and Emerge alums are already doing what they do best: winning office, shattering glass ceilings, and blazing a trail of powerful representation for communities in their districts. Earlier this month, Maryam Khan became the first Muslim ever elected to the Connecticut State House of Representatives. In Kentucky, Keturah Herron was elected to the State House of Representatives, becoming the first out LGBTQ person in state history to serve in this chamber. And Emerge alum Lydia Edwards was elected to the Massachusetts State Senate, while Rachel Armitage was appointed to the Oregon State Senate. And we are so proud of our alums who are working to improve the criminal justice system. You can't reform the justice system without first getting new leadership in place. That's why I'm so excited that Emerge alum Susan Hudson will soon be sworn in as the new sheriff of New Orleans. And she is the first Black woman ever elected sheriff in Louisiana's history. We have many more elections coming up this year, and we expect to see this trend continue. While we are proud of all that we have accomplished in 2022 so far, we're just getting started. We have an ambitious 2035 vision, and we'll be working hard this year to move our organization towards them. To that end, here are Emerge's goals for 2022. We're going to train at least 500 Democratic women and reach 3,000 women of the new American majority. We launched Seated Together, our advanced candidate training program to help Black women advance to higher political office. We will develop and roll out training focused on growing the judicial pipeline at the state and local levels. Fun fact, currently women only hold 34% of judgeships across the country. So there is a critical need for more focus here. This week, as we all watched Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's hearings, I reminded again how important it is to get more women of the new American majority into the judicial pipeline. Judge Jackson may be the first Black woman who will serve on the Supreme Court, because we know she's going to get confirmed, but she certainly won't be the last. Finally, Emerge will be working closely with our labor partners to train labor women and connect our alums with their valuable support. We'll also target races of impact. This includes flippable districts, creating Democratic majorities in state legislatures, building trifectas in state government, and challenging unfair Republican redistricting results. The state of Emerge in 2022 is strong. And with your continued support, we will be able to do this work with our alums and our partners and all of you to continue to grow this organization to new heights and blaze new trails along the way. Thank you all for listening, and I look forward to the powerful conversations we are about to hear from the Emerge staff and alums who can tell you firsthand why Democratic women are the future and why Emerge's work is so important.
Thank you, A'shanti. And Maggie said it in the chat, but thank you, Madam President. I don't know about you, but every time A'shanti speaks about Emerge and all the great work that's being done to prepare Democratic women of the new American majority, something that's near and dear to my heart, I'm so inspired. Next, we're excited to have Erin Robinson, Director of Outreach and Strategic Campaigns at the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute, and one of the incredible young professionals on our Young Leaders Cabinet. She's going to moderate a discussion with a few of our executive directors. Welcome, Erin.
Thanks, Diane. I am really excited to be here tonight to have a conversation with some of our wonderful Emerge executive directors. So I will just jump on in and let you know who we're going to hear from tonight. So on our panel, we'll have 3 Emerge executive directors, and they are Emerge New Mexico's executive director, Dr. Sandra Rooney, Emerge Georgia's executive director, Maggie Chambers, as well as Emerge Wisconsin's ED, Arvina Martin. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. All right, so we will just jump right on in and ask you to tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you love Emerge. And anybody can start.
All right, I'm happy to
go for it.
Oh.
Or either one of yes, go for it.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. I am so excited to be sharing space with you. I've been waiting all day. Name is Sandra Rooney. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm joining y'all here from the land of enchantment, right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I love this question, why I love Emerge. You see, y'all, I'm a child of refugee parents who was impacted by geopolitical warfare. Not too far from the stories that we're experiencing today. I know firsthand what it means when people in power make decisions and policies that upend people's lives and livelihood. And because of that, every day being part of Emerge to build a more inclusive democracy, a democracy that's going to elect more Democratic women from the new American majority at all levels of government. To me, at the end, it means that families like mine, communities like mine, will see representation and see their lives change. Also, I'm going to take a little moment to share a story about my mom. Emerge work has resulted in my mother, a refugee woman who resettled in the United States almost 40 years ago, never participated in our democracy because never really felt that she was reflected in our democracy. And then when our Vice President Harris was on the ballot, my mom called me and said, I want to vote. That's the power of Emerge. People are hungry for representation that is more like them, that more like their lived experiences. And the work that I get to do with all of you at Emerge and Emerge National, our supporters and donors, is the reason why I love the work that I do. So I'm going to pass it back to my other panelists.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful way to get us started. And I will throw it over to Maggie to go next.
Sandra, I wasn't prepared to start tearing up this early in the panel, but thank you. And thank you so much, Erin. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm Maggie Chambers. I am the Executive Director of Emerge Georgia. I love Emerge because I have gotten to see Emerge in action. As Sandra said, I think that our mission of empowering women of the new American majority is just so important. And coming from one of our newest affiliates right here in Georgia, we know that Black and brown women are changing our state. They're who elected John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, who flips Georgia blue for Joe Biden. And they're who are going to elect Stacey Abrams as our next governor. I just remember the first time I heard about Emerge in my home state of Virginia when I saw, actually our coworker, Delegate Danica Rome, as well as Jennifer Carroll Foy and Kathy Tran be part of that big change in Virginia. And I have seen us at work, women win with Emerge, and I'm just so proud to be a part of this organization.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Arvina, do you want to go next?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Arvina Martin. Maikate Razra, Arvina Martin ga hingaire, Hochank Razra, Hohamchi Kare ga hingaire. That was me introducing myself in my tribal language. I'm a member of the Ho-Chunk Nation, and I am also the executive director for Emerge Wisconsin. I really like to be able to introduce myself in my language because I am learning my language, and I am in cycle 3 of language 1. It's really hard. So I'm really excited to be able to introduce myself in Ho-Chunk to whatever audience. I started in politics in Wisconsin around when Act 10 happened, aka Scott Walker happened, aka getting rid of public unions. I had been actually an intern for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and all of a sudden things changed, and it changed so fast. And they, people ask me can you reach out to the Native community in Wisconsin? And I said, I will do my best to. And so that kind of started my career of working in politics with communities that are skeptical or are not trustful otherwise of government or of politics. I got to meet so many amazing people, and I remember when I realized something that something in common with all of the women in politics that I idolized. They had all done this program called Emerge. And so I applied in 2014 and went through the whole signature training and made amazing connections, and also gained the skills to actually run. And I ran for city council here in Madison, Wisconsin. I am the first Native person, male or female, ever elected to the City of Madison, Wisconsin Common Council. I also ran for a statewide position, for Secretary of State here in Wisconsin. That was not as successful, but that's okay. And the opportunity to come back and work with the organization that gave me the connections and the support to be able to put myself out there. I was so excited. I very much believe in the lift while you climb analogy. So I'm so excited to be a part of this organization, and I apologize for talking a lot. I'm just so excited to be a part of all this work that these amazing women do.
No apologies needed. We are here to talk about your strategies, what brought you to Emerge. So that is exactly why we are gathering tonight to have this conversation. So speaking of that, we know that there are 50 states. There are so many different strategies, so many different things happening on the ground in states. So what strategies are working on the ground in your states right now? And Sandra, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Erin. I think about this, and the one thing over and over that works here in New Mexico is making sure that we help our applicants who apply, who are in our signature program, our alums, remember this: run as your authentic self. When we run as our authentic self, when our alums run as their authentic self, they win. And we can see this in the biggest case study ever. Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland ran as her authentic self. Y'all, and look what we get now. And so that's my contribution to share here in New Mexico. That is the one thing we hone in all the time: run as your authentic self. Thanks, Erin, for the question.
Absolutely. Maggie, do you want to try next?
Sure. I think Sandra said it really well. And what I'll add, what's really working in my state, is I love seeing alums who are catering their voter turnout plan, who are thinking about their issues that are really just catered to their community. The thing that's so special about Emerge women who are running as they are, who are running authentically, is they know their communities, they know what their community needs, and they're not going to run a cookie cutter campaign because they're trying to represent exactly what their community actually needs. So I love seeing all of the creative voter turnout events that my alums are doing. One of my alums, Rua Roman, who just graduated from our boot camp and is running for a state legislative seat, and she would be the first Muslim woman in the General Assembly in Georgia. Her mom has been cooking lunch for all of her canvassers, and sometimes the way that she gets additional volunteers in the door is people who just really want to try her mom's cooking. And I am a big food person, but it's also just really wonderful getting to see our candidates shine and use that to go win their campaigns.
I love that. Talk about community building. And that just warms my heart, especially as a Georgian. Arvina, did you want to weigh in on what strategies are working in your state?
Yeah, like the others have said so far, like it's not like one strategy that like is taking over, but there are so many candidates here in Wisconsin who are talking about those issues that affect us like day to day, whether that is access to childcare, access to parental leave, access to policies that acknowledge that we're not just employees or workers, we are members of families, and we have to take care of them as well. And that's really, 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 really important. And I also would love to add on to what Sandra was saying about Secretary Deb Haaland. As a Native American woman, it like blows my mind that she's an Emerge alum, and like I've met her and she's amazing and so smart and so capable, and I just want to make sure that folks know that Indian country kind of refers to her as Auntie, aka Auntie, not anti, but like Auntie Deb, because she does it, she gets it done, and she does the things, and that's what Emerge trains our participants to do, to hone in on that awesomeness and to like project that as your own authentic self, but also have that like backing of facts, etc. just fabulous. And she's a wonderful ambassador for our organization.
So I definitely heard a theme of authenticity in the answers to that question. So some of you kind of touched on this a little bit, but are there important things for alums to know when campaigning this cycle? And we can go in a different order this time. Arvina, we'll start with you.
Sure. I think that it is important to consider if your community feels safer doing virtual events versus in person. Like that's probably like the biggest thing that we encounter these days. And that's an issue that will potentially like continue into the future. And we need to think about like what campaigning in virtual spaces versus it like in person, you know, what are the risks, what are the bonuses, and how do we use both in order to engage as many potential voters as we can, because you know it's likely to be a combination of the both, and figuring out what that balance is really important, and figuring out how to create programs that are engaging both in person and virtually. You know, it's really important, and like it's different from virtual to in person, you know, like to be engaging. So it takes a lot of consideration for that.
And Arvina, just wanted to follow up on that because I think that's such an important point, and quickly ask, have you seen any good strategies for finding that out? Has it just been while out canvassing that people have had these conversations? How have they gotten some of that information about where people are landing?
I think that like when it comes to outreach, like a relational organizational strategy is absolutely key. You know, we are getting so used to having cold calls, texts from people that we don't know, but if we are getting information from someone that we know and trust, that's another thing. So that kind of outreach is really, really great for in-person events. And I think that like getting into kind of like the nitty gritty regarding policy, regarding issues that the candidate is likely to face once elected, like that is a really good opportunity for an online event. So like you can sit there, you can take notes and figure out kind of the policy platform or the more detailed information about a candidate's stance.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to pass it to Maggie, if you have any ideas about the most important things alums should know for campaigning this cycle.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing something that I always emphasize to my candidates, especially thinking about Georgia and Wisconsin as some very crucial battleground states, is that just remembering that, you know, voters have been through a lot in the last couple of years. People are tired, but the thing that emerged, like the strategies that Arvina just mentioned, like I think relational organizing is one of the strongest grassroots tools that we have for engaging folks, but being able to meet voters on their level by sharing your story as a candidate and being able to really see their issues, you're able to overcome that tiredness that, like, I know in Atlanta, it is March and everything I see is still until it's already a political ad. But the candidates, particularly Emerge candidates, by being creative, by being authentic, and by really just emphasizing how you can connect with voters on the local issues in their communities and not just the latest talking points from DC, that's how you win, and that's how you keep going. And the other thing I just always want my alums to know is just that their sisterhood has their back.
Absolutely. So I will turn it over to Sandra.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Arvina and Maggie has said. And I want to emphasize like the whole thing about your sisterhood, your network has your back. Like our alums that are running campaign, we know it's harder. Not only are voters tired, you're tired, right? Staring at a screen, you know, doing it hybrid is even more complex as well. Being in person, all those things, just know that your sisterhood is here, whether it's food, childcare, you know, whether it's an extra hand to wash the dishes. I don't know. Your sisterhood is always here. And I think our alums need to know that and need to lean on that as well.
All right, so we have about 2 minutes left. So I will move us to our last question. What are a few of the races that you are watching closely this cycle? And we can start with Maggie.
Sure. Well, in Georgia, there's a lot to be excited about. What I'm so thrilled is, in addition to, of course, Stacey Abrams is at the top of our ticket, we have a lot of Emerge alums on the ballot with her. So, you know, Congresswoman Lucy McBath is running for re-election, and we also have our alum, Senator Jen Jordan, who is now running to be the first woman attorney general in our state. So those are some of the big ones, but we also have just a lot of groundbreaking candidates all the way from state house to school board. And I'm just really excited to have this great group of women on the ticket. It's going to be big in Georgia this year.
Oh, that's so exciting. Arvina, I'll pass it to you next about what races you're watching.
Sure. So we actually have our spring elections coming up next week or very soon. So there are so many women who have stepped up for these local seats, whether they are city council or school board or county board. And that's where we build our bench. And that's really exciting to see across the state. As far as our statewide elections in the fall, we have an alumna, Sarah Godlewski, running for U.S. Senate against Ron Johnson, who sucks. And Sarah is also amazing because she was our first statewide elected alum. So she has done amazing things, bringing attention to the office of the Wisconsin State Treasurer. She has a lot of potential going into this U.S. Senate race primary. And Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, who, while not an Emerge alum, flipped a state assembly seat in Waukesha County, which is notoriously Republican, and she flipped the seat. She has spent the last 2 years being that Waukesha representative, and now she's running for lieutenant governor, and she's a force as well. So we've got amazing candidates. We've got amazing women candidates here in Wisconsin, and we are building that bench.
That is amazing, and thank you so much for bringing up the local races as well, because we know how important it is at every level. And Sandra, I'll let you wrap us up with any races that you're watching.
Great. Thank you, Erin. Here in New Mexico, we have so many exciting races. It's so hard for me to choose from, y'all. I'm going to watch over 440 alums, our alums. I wish 400, I'm going to say that. 40 alums, and speak that out into the universe. Over 440 alums of ours are running for office today. Here in New Mexico, we have a female majority in the House. We want to maintain and grow that. Of that, most of them are our alums, and most of them are of the new American majority, women of color, y'all. We want that in representation to increase as well. And then there's our judicial candidates. New Mexico has a strong record of having strong judicial candidates. 3 of the New Mexico Supreme Court justices are Emerge alums. 6 of the 10 Court of Appeals are Emerge alums. And so there are many seats up. We're watching that as well. And one of our past EDs is also running for office. So we're watching that race close as well. So much at stake, y'all. So much excitement here at New Mexico. And so thank you for allowing us to share a little bit about what's happening here.
Arvina, Maggie, Sandra, thank you so much for joining us. We were so excited to hear about what's going on in your states as well as your work. And that's it for this panel. So I will pass it over to the Emerge Political Director, Brianna Carmen.
Thank you so much, Erin, and hello, everyone. If we haven't had a chance to meet, as she mentioned, my name is Brianna, and I'm the Political Director here at Emerge. And, as we work towards our Emerge 2035 goals, which are really our guiding principles, helping us excel at recruiting, at training, and getting women in office, the political team is focused on a few key areas that you might have heard a little bit earlier during the presentation. So first, we're expanding our partnerships. We just had one with the Gender Equity Action Fund, which awarded Emerge some grant money to go ahead and expand our judicial elections and appointments training. So we'll be focusing on some of the states that you just heard from, like Georgia and Wisconsin, utilizing Emerge battle-tested methods to educate candidates on specialized knowledge like judicial canons and fundraising when you're running for a judgeship. And second of all, we are training. So Emerge's goal is to train over 500 women this year. And what I am excited to share with you is that we just received a record number of applicants for our national boot camp. We had over 100 women apply. So we know that despite all the vitriol and, kind of the laid back or people just wanting to hold back this year that you're hearing in politics, we're seeing women really excited and reaching out to Emerge because they want to serve their community. And lastly, what the political department is focused on is lifting as we climb. We have just launched our advanced candidate training program called Seated Together this past February. And we're already seeing some amazing women in the first cohort do great things. Amelia Sykes out in Ohio just announced her bid for US Congress, as well as London Lamar in Tennessee was just appointed to the state Senate. So we know that group is, a group of powerhouse women who are going places, and we're excited to pilot this advanced candidate training with them. And with all of that being said, I'm so excited to introduce y'all to this amazing panel. So I have Helen Tran, candidate for San Bernardino mayor with us, Shannon Sneed, candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, and Attica Scott, congressional candidate for Kentucky's 3rd District. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So glad that you're here with us. And, my first question to everyone on this panel is, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you've decided to run for office. And we can go ahead and start with Helen.
Hello, sisters. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be in this space with all of y'all. This is beautiful. Helen Tran, San Bernardino, California, and I'm running for San Bernardino mayor. And I am a first generation born daughter of refugee immigrants from Vietnam. So, we have humble beginnings. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were so blessed to be in this country to have a better life than where my parents would be if we were in Vietnam struggling. So, I have to tell you, when you're humble beginnings and you grow up in poverty, mentorship is so important. And I think that's what started my pathway into politics and then into college, was when I walked into a campaign senior year of high school as a key clubber. Sue Burnside, who's a Burnside consulting firm, she worked on a congressional campaign, and I was just coming in just to volunteer. And she saw something in me, and I ended up following her. I call her my field mama. And so I ended up working for so many campaigns through up and down the states, even some out of states for her. And I ended up doing that. And I have to also say, she also pushed me to go to college. She said, Helen, go to college, see the world. And I'm like, okay. So mentorship is so important in everyone's lives when you don't know where to go or where the resources are, right? Fast forward, I worked on politics in political campaigns throughout my college years. Post-college, I decided to come back home and do something different because I never thought I would do that work throughout my life. I was looking for a job, and I ended up working for City Hall San Bernardino, city government, in HR as a senior secretary to the HR director. Fast forward 10 years later, I became the youngest director in the city of San Bernardino and a woman executive on a table with all men. So it was not easy. I'm not going to lie. It was very tough. And that city has gone through a lot of trauma and crisis, from a Great Recession into 5 long, painful years of bankruptcy. And so I was in the trenches of that, and political climates, recall of politicians. I think what really pushed me when I said enough was enough was when this current mayor, I witnessed his swearing in December 2018, my heart sank, because I knew under that leadership, the city would not move forward. And I could no longer work as a leader under that leadership because I knew I wouldn't be effective. So that would not, my impact would not be there. So I started looking for another job. I currently work for another city, and since leaving, I have been out, garnering support. I shattered expectation because of my fundraising abilities, and garnering over 150 community leaders, elected officials to really get behind me to beat this incumbent and win this June 7th. So I'm so excited. It's very inspiring to see that I was able to do it. So thank you.
I love hearing that, Helen, and thank you for joining us tonight. And Attica.
Hey. So I'll tell you a little bit about me and the work that I'm doing here in Louisville, Kentucky. So I am a graduate of the first class of Emerge Kentucky, and every year have supported and mentored and uplifted other women to join Emerge Kentucky. And I'm excited, y'all, about what we're doing here, because we're clear when you change the South, you change the nation. And so we're lifting up Emerge women from every level of the ballot. I'm running for Congress in Kentucky's 3rd Congressional District, which is here in Louisville. I would be the first Democratic woman and the first Black woman from Kentucky to serve in Congress. And that would be huge for us. And I know that part of my work is bringing other Emerge sisters along. And like I heard before with the other panel, it's that sisterhood that really helps us to win. Because I know I can call on my Emerge sisters wherever they are across the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and they're going to show up just as I show up for them. Put on my sneakers, knock on doors, whether it's a rural area, suburban area, urban area, it doesn't matter, because it's that organizing and mobilizing that gets us to the victory. It gets us to the win. So I'm excited about the opportunity to see other Emerge sisters running for school board, for mayor. We got a current Emerge Kentucky member who's running for mayor right here in Louisville, a Black woman. I've served in Frankfurt with the first ever Indian immigrant woman to serve in our state legislature, who's also an Emerge Kentucky graduate. Like, we are making history in Kentucky every single day, because Emerge is building us up, powering us to victory, and really showing us what it takes to win and how to win, especially when we center one another as being valuable and worthy of serving in office. Because sometimes it's what we need. We need that sisterhood to say, you are worthy, you belong in office, you should run, and I've got your back.
I love it. You know what? We can all just go home. Attica said everything you needed to say tonight. But you know what? I would love to also hear from Shannon. So Shannon, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So I am a Baltimore City resident. I am a former councilwoman. I ran 2 years ago for city council president. We had a shakeup with our mayor in Baltimore, and so seats changed. And so I decided to run for our city council president seat. The person who was holding that seat at the time said, get ready, I'm not going to stay in this position. I'm running for mayor, so you get ready for city council president. And I said, absolutely. A pandemic hit. And so it totally changed the landscape. How do you campaign during a pandemic? How do you knock on doors during a pandemic? You don't. Luckily, I raised enough money. I made sure that I sat on that money, and we were able to go on television. Because of that, I made sure that we got over 40,000 votes in Baltimore City. And so Tom Perez, who's running for governor in Maryland, tapped me to be his lieutenant governor, and I said yes. I said yes because I was not finished the work that I was doing to make sure that Maryland families had a partner in government. I made sure that people who are disabled, I had a mother who had a stroke at my grandmother's funeral. My mother was working contract work. And when she had the stroke, unfortunately, she didn't have money to cover a lot of her bills. And so it made me think that we have got to make sure that here in the state of Maryland, when someone gets sick, that they are able to not worry about getting sicker because they can't think about bills. We want to make sure that you focus on your health. Another situation that I was fighting for is that we had Baltimore City had an uprising in 2015 Freddie Gray, and then we had George Floyd. And so we had victims of police brutality in Baltimore City. And I wanted to make sure that both sides were protected, police officers as well as the victims here in Baltimore City. And so I felt like instead of calling 311 all the time, 911 all the time, there has to be a solution to make sure that we are just not calling police officers out when someone has mental health. So I wanted to continue to fight for those issues. And so when Tom tapped me to say, come and join me on the ticket, I said, absolutely.
Amazing. And, you know, I love it that all of these are such powerful stories. And what really unites us all is that we're part of the Emerge network. So I would just love to hear a little bit about, you know, the strategies that you used and the most rewarding experience that you've had so far.
So for the strategy, it's really planning, right? Planning ahead and really trying to, you know, the strategies that Emerge has taught us. I mean, my goodness, all the women who gave us their life experience, like, hey, by the way, this worked really well. This not so much. It kind of failed, or it's just really, I love that. And that we have this strong sisterhood that we can lean on, especially because it is not easy as a woman to run for office. It's real. And it's the resources and time. It's like being able to navigate that with the support of other women who supports women to run for office, to lead. It's beautiful. And I think that's a strategy that I have been able to lean on from the support of the Emerge. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I call my Emerge sisters daily. And the first thing I wake up, I'm trying to work, like, all right, you know, this is our game plan. And what are we doing? What are you doing? So I have a fellow sister who's running as a board supervisor. So we're always on the phone tag team, like, hey, what are you doing? What am I doing? So just supporting each other. And that's beautiful, because when women go into office, we rock. We know how to lead. So
amazing. Attica?
Yeah, all of that, Helen, I feel you. And what I hear you saying is what I come from, which is organizing, right? That's what we are doing. We're organizing people. What is it that we want? What's that victory? What are we trying to achieve? And how do we get there? Who do we bring with us? How do we make sure that the people who have been intentionally left behind are no longer left behind because we lead differently as women, right? And we make sure that we bring other people with us. We make sure we lift up the voices of the people who've been silenced. And so to me, that's how we've been winning with Emerge Kentucky. We have brought people to not only the table, but like building the table ourselves, who felt like they were never going to have the chance to be in office. But we said to them, we see something in you and we want you to try, right? And whether you start at school board and work your way up, start somewhere. And because of that energy, because of that enthusiasm, because of that support, we've been able to get Emerge Kentucky women in at every level of government across the Commonwealth, starting with that organizing strategy and then mobilizing our bases of support in our precincts, in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our counties, to build up to those victories. So that's what you got to do. You got to organize, you got to mobilize, and then you got to get people out to vote. And make sure you're educating them about the issues so that they will come out to vote.
And I'll go ahead and jump right in. And all of that, plus I say, having a young child in this makes it really difficult at times. And so that village of women who are in Emerge Network, who also have children, who are always willing to say, listen, you can drop that one off here, or we'll come out and hold hands with, you know, or play with them. That makes such a difference in my world as I'm knocking on doors and gearing up for this big election. I also think the network that we have, and so though other folks may have supported other candidates within this Emerge network, they'll say, I'll give you money too, because it's so hard for me, I say, and I'm pretty sure other Black women, to raise money. And so we understand the struggle. And so it's so, it's like a blessing when someone's like, yes, I want to give you $500. I want to give you, and then I want to connect you to another person or when we're getting these texts to say, call this person. So even our little ecosystem becomes a bigger ecosystem when we support one another and tell each other who to call, who to go after, who's supportive of the work that we do. And again, our families, right? Supporting our families, husbands talk often, or in Baltimore, who can be like, they're out there again, they're trying their best and we got to support them. So I think on all levels, it's just so important to have a strategy, and that strategy is to start and to ask. And that's what I got from Emerge. I used to be so scared to ask for someone to give me money, but having that training when we had to sit in the room and say, now call that person on the phone, it's all worth it.
So I'm a big advocate. I will say a direct ask, knowing how to make one and pull it off will change your life. Anything you need to do, running for office, negotiating a salary, getting that next job, highly recommend it. So with you all here, I know that being in the campaign space, right, there's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows. Can you tell me about one of the highs you've had in your race so far?
I would say for me is the ability to bring people together for the same goal of uplifting a community that's been hurting and traumatized. For me, that's the case. And it's just so beautiful because we all want to see a safe, healthy, and thriving community. And so when I have the ability to reach out, say, hey, this is what I'm doing, I want to be that leader, to lead the way and help heal a community and help pave the future and inspire more women and more leaders to step into the arena, because it's scary. It's the unknown. And you know, also often that, you know, you get put, you know, pushed down, or people just, you know, paint you who you are or who you're not. But you just got pushed forward. So I think that's one of the things that I love is the people, is bringing people together for the common good of moving a community forward.
Awesome. Shannon?
Sorry, I just had a 5-year-old ask me questions. Say it one more time. I'm so sorry. That's what I was
You're
looking
set.
down.
No, I would love to know about one of the highs that you've had so far on the campaign trail.
Can I just be honest with you? It's being asked to run for this big position. I feel like I'm still on a high for that. And then I'm going to be honest with you, calling people and saying, hey, can you donate $6,000 to me? And someone saying, absolutely, that's the limit in Maryland. Like, that is a huge high for me. I'm like, yes, I called and the person said yes for $6,000. It's just amazing. And then the other part of it is, even though we're not in office yet, still connecting people to resources, like knocking on a door and someone needing help, or meeting someone across the way and being able to help them as a former councilwoman is still like a high for me, to know that this is what we're here to do. We're here to solve issues and concerns. So I would say all of those things have been such a great thing to be like, yes, I got to keep going because I'm helping people.
Yeah, Shannon, I feel you on the being able to help people, because I used to serve on our Louisville Metro Council, and people still reach out to me, and I'm a state representative now, but they're still like, you're still my councilwoman, so I'm still going to reach out to you. But I would say one of my biggest highs is having people say, this is our race. This is our campaign. When you win, we all win. That to me that's it right there, right? Because I'm clear, I'm the face and the voice that y'all are sending to DC, but people are clear this is their campaign, right? And when I see, especially older Black women, and I saw this one Black woman, she was in a wheelchair, at a farmer's market, and she stopped me and she said, I just want to say to you, I never thought I would see this in my life, but you're a Black woman running for Congress from Kentucky. Thank you so much. Man, that makes my heart swell. That right there is enough to say, this is why we do it. It's worth it. That's why we have to keep going for the people who never thought it was possible in their lifetime.
Amazing. And you know what? I'm even smiling just hearing about these. So I can't imagine how it feels to be in that moment. And that's incredible for all of you. And so to switch gears just a little bit, right? We want to be honest that running for office can be a bit challenging. Can you all share a little bit with us just, you know, about the different prejudices that women face, maybe some of the challenges and experience that you had that was difficult that you were able to navigate? And we'll go with Attica.
All right, thank you. Well, I will say when I first ran for office, my kids were young. I had one in elementary school and one in middle school. And of course, you would, sad to say, but you would have the people who were like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to work and take care of your kids and run for office? And, you know, sometimes I can have a little sassy mouth and I'm like, well, you don't ask the men that. Right? Because sometimes you got to push back on that stuff because we're
They
past that
never
time.
ask the men,
They
never
never
ask
asked the
them.
men, right? But I showed them, right? I worked and I made sure my kids were phenomenal and I ran for office and won. So, you know, that's what you have to do sometimes, right? Do the work, put it in, and then once you win, show people what it means to lead, right? And to lead with grace and dignity and to lead as a mama with kids who are in school so that your kids can see you as well. So for me, that was one of the biggest challenges is overcoming those assumptions that people make for you about what you can and can't do, and then, you know, having to show them what you can do.
Right. And Shannon?
I would say that plus I got a lot of people asking me, well, what did your husband say? Did your husband say that this was a good idea? So, and I'm like, my husband doesn't make decisions for me. I make my own decisions. And so we go from there. Like if I want to do it, he's going to support. And so I just felt like no one asks if their wife supports. And does your wife say okay? And so I had to like, it doesn't matter. I'm doing this to continue to my work and to do, you know, because I think I'm going to do a great job. And that's why he picked me, right? So that's the bias I see.
Helen, any stories for us?
Ooh, I'll tell you, when you become a threat to someone who feel that you are a real threat and they want to put fear, intimidation, I felt like I was in a episode of House of Cards because thank goodness we have a ring on our door where you're capturing videos. I had folks show up to our house saying, demanding where I'm at, that I don't live here the other day. And then the next day, some guy literally, this is real, planted a bag of drugs in my planter pot. And it was confirmed and I got arrested. And I mean, literally this fear, intimidation, because we are doing the work, real work to change a city, change a community that needs good leadership. And the fear, intimidation is real. And they try to scare you off. They try to exploit you as someone you're not. And it's just awful. I mean, that's why running for office is not easy. And I lean to my sisters, I lean to my family, I lean to the support, and people see through that. And so continuing the work, it drives me more. It does not put fear in me. It does not intimidate me. It drives me more. And I'm like, we are going to do this and we're not afraid. And so no activity since, thank goodness. And I think that we raised the alert to everyone because my whole neighbors got together, exchanged numbers. Like we got you, Helen. And it was just like the beauty of coming together to protect ourselves, our community, that enough's enough. We're going to do this together. So yes.
Thank you for, your honesty and your vulnerability, Helen, and just sharing that with us. I can't imagine how frustrating those moments are. And I'm grateful that the community rallied with you and that, we're really here and we're fighting the good fight. And you all are strong, powerful women who will not be silenced. And, I just want to really thank all of you all for being here tonight with us. And if you have one last thing that you would like to share, we're about to head out. It's almost time, but one piece of advice quickly. Attica?
Certainly, encourage another woman to run for office, right? Just do it, y'all.
Very cool. Shannon?
I would say when you're tired and you don't feel like doing it, go out and knock those doors. It makes a difference in the long run. Raise the money and knock the doors.
Raise money, knock doors. Love it. Bumper sticker. Helen?
When it's a calling, you don't stop until you get to victory, the finish line. That's it.
Answer the calls, y'all. Well, thank you all for being with us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to my amazing colleague, Diane. Take it away.
Thank you, Brianna. What a super wonderfully inspiring evening full of women that are truly transforming the political landscape. And as you've heard throughout the night, there are so many people who are involved in the success of our organization, from the alums to our staff, to our organizational partners, and of course, the generosity of supporters just like you. We all know that this year is a huge year with a lot at stake, from voting rights to reproductive justice to anti-discrimination laws. During times of political uncertainty, donors like you are unmatched. And thank you to Brianna for bringing up the point of the direct ask before, because we are 100% funded by supporters like you. Will you commit to giving again? Our goal tonight is to raise $5,000, which will help fund our national training programs. That means we need just 50 of you to donate $100 or 100 guests to give $50. Remember, no donation is too large or too small. And thank you again for being with us tonight. We have the link in the chat that Cora just dropped to our contribution page. Please go and check it out and make sure you support Emerge. Thank you for your dedication and support to women in this pivotal election year, and have an incredible night.